Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. Hope you're all happy and healthy, doing the things you love. It is Sunday. It is another day of dissection, of questions, and of despair, I guess, for Tottenham Hotspur fans, not knowing what to do. Do the board know what to do? I'm not sure they do. I'm I think that there is... I'm pretty sure there's going to be split opinions amongst the decision makers around where do we go from here. You know, yesterday was a really, really strange day, right, with the football. On another day, Tottenham could be 4-0 up at half time. I think we deserved the win. I think Dubravka should have been the man of the match. If he wasn't, it's a disgrace. He had the game of his life. Unbelievable saves twice from Udogie, once from Solanke, once from Mathys Tel, a bullet shot from Micky van der Ven that he couldn't do anything for, and obviously an unbelievable header at the end there from Christian Romero. Listen, Christian Romero is going to split opinions. I think that his output this season, his goal scoring, I think he scored 3 goals on the bounce now for Tottenham, and that is, something that's going to, I think maybe cloud some of the judgments. I want to show you some of the screenshots from that I've taken from the goals that we conceded. In which case, bear me 1 second, guys. Sorry, 1 second. Sorry about that. Can always rely on someone else to start talking on the phone right outside your door. Guys, please do smash the like button for me, and we're going to get into it. Smash the subscribe if you haven't already. Notification bell button should be squeezed. Comments would ideally be dropped thick and fast. Let me know your thoughts on where you're at. We've got a lot to talk about, obviously. What do we do with Thomas Frank? We've got 7 days. I think it's Monday, isn't it? So we've got 8 days, actually, until the transfer window closes. Are Tottenham going to pull a rabbit out of the hat and give the fans something that isn't just a papering over the cracks, isn't just enough to stave off any potential relegation fears? Let's not forget, guys, that we are 8 points away from relegation, from the relegation zone, but we are also only 8 points away from top 4. I know which one is more likely if you had to pick an outcome. But look, every team is capable of beating everybody right now. It really is a very, very weird season. And I think the football, the stats, the fact that Tottenham aren't scoring any goals from the top end of the pitch, or not enough goals, that's not just a Tottenham thing, by the way. There's more centre-backs in the top sort of 30 goal scorers this year than there ever has been before. There's also lots of defensive midfielders in there. I think the distribution of value is getting spread around because of the way that football has changed. This man-to-man pressing model that has been engaged with by so many football clubs as a way to sort of nullify the possession-based patterns with the half spaces and the zonal marking that has been implemented by most of the top teams over the last years. Pep Guardiola even came out and said it. That the things that used to work don't work anymore, because it's a game of chess as much as it is a game of football, and defenders and defenses will always adapt to accommodate and to try to nullify other things that you're seeing. So as much as Tottenham are definitely in need of more output from the top end of the pitch, the fact that we are relying on our defenders to get goals, well, that's not just a Tottenham thing. That is a thing that we're seeing more and more, again, because of setpiecefc.com. That is an ever-present increasing part of the footballing narrative. But either way, guys, smash the like button, smash the subscribe. We're going to get into it all right now. And please don't forget, OK Jersey is sponsoring today's video. As you can see, there is an additional discount available if you go to OK Jersey and you're looking for whatever you're looking for, all of the kind of new retro old clubber, Jeremy Jacquets, whatever you're looking for, training gear, non-branded athleisure wear, whatever. Well, if you get over there and you stick code Sean at checkout, then you would get your traditional 8% off. But until February the 1st, if you stick in Sean 15, SEAN 15 at checkout, then you get an additional discount. You get 15% off at checkout. Can't ask fairer than that. So thank you to them for the sponsorship. I'm going to say hello to some people, and we're going to get into it. Big up to you, Drewski. How are you, my man? Thank you so much for coming on yesterday. What's the mail, Sean? What's the mail? I'm not sure what that means. Don't know. What is the mail? Don't know, Anaconic. Don't know, my man. Big up to Drewski. Big up to TDID saying, get the banners ready for Enoch out. Take them to the next match. Oh, and Arsenal loving agent Vinai. Big up to Alex. Big up to you, my man. The plan is to stick with the manager, says Trevor Crook. Do you know what, Trevor? I think you're right. I think you're right on a number of things. And this is where I currently sit. Right? I don't know what the right thing to do is. I really don't. I was never particularly au fait with Thomas Frank. If you go back to the start of the summer, he wasn't my preferred candidate. But I didn't really have a problem with him coming in. I guess I was caught up in this whole kind of narrative of, he's gonna make our younger players better, and we haven't really had a manager at Tottenham for a while that sort of has a diverse sort of ecosystem and lots of strategies and plans and aces up his sleeve. I haven't seen any of it, but that's what I got caught up in the notion of. I haven't been impressed with his press conferences. I don't particularly like his demeanor. I find it a little bit just blasé and boring. I'm more attached or more aligned to like the kind of chaos, like the De Zerbis, that sort of thing. I love that sort of manager. I think those guys are just, there's always going to be a moment where they explode. And I don't think that's ever going to happen with Thomas Frank. I can't imagine Thomas Frank ever screaming and shouting at his team for the things that go wrong. And like yesterday, there were moments that went wrong but need to be called out that aren't on Thomas Frank. Like that's conceding that sloppy goal at the end of the first half for me was woeful. It was so sloppy. And look, the defensive positioning for it was outrageous, so bad. And it begs the question, why? Because I think that we have become a team that, that seems to be more resilient, seems to be more set up, seems to be better at doing those sorts of things. But we should have been 3 or 4-0 up in the first half as we went into half-time, looking for a second. But like I say, if it wasn't for an absolutely world-class performance from Dubravka, things would be a lot different. Then you go in at half-time 1-1 because of the sloppiness. I'll do it right now, guys. I'll do it right now. Let me see which one is the. So this is the first screenshot, right? So the number 12 there has spread it out to Kyle Walker, who had a lot of joy, right? No signs of age in Kyle Walker's game. Still was fast, or not quite as fast, but still faster than most. Able to body. He successfully bodied Jed Spence a couple of times yesterday. I thought he was very, very good, Kyle Walker, against his old club. He's got acres of space there. Xavi Simons, the nearest person to him. If we zoom in, you can see the players that way. I can't zoom in, but if you can see the sort of positional sense there. Micky van der Ven, that is a zonal position. That's not a position there's nothing to do with man-to-man marking there. But look at how Burnley is set up. 4 players all hanging behind, in the back pack there. 2 players behind the furthest back of Tottenham's players. And you've got Bissouma in there, you've got Jed Spence, and I think that's Conor Gallagher as well. On the next screen, this ball here is now mid-air. And you can see the players that are moving. It's I'm not sure I can see whereabouts it is, but he's already whipped the ball in. Xavi Simons' turn. Pedro Porro, who's supposed to be playing right back, is closer to he's playing. Pedro Porro there is playing more as like a left back for some reason. And his absence out at the back is really, really problematic. Once again, the players are split. Romero is marking nobody. Micky van der Ven is nowhere near anybody. This is a zonal defense against the de-staggered team. This is where problems exist, and this is because of people falling asleep at doing their job. For what it's worth, Romero is also playing on the goal scorer. I think his name's Tuan Zabi or something. Who again, centre back, right? Another defender scoring goals from essentially, it's not a set piece, but it's a structural play that has been worked on there by Scott Parker. And the third goal, the third image, is this the one? No, that's not it. Maybe I just got those 2. And obviously, you know what happens, right? He goes over the top. A horrendous defending there from Conor Gallagher and Jed Spence. Jed Spence stopping. Jed Spence is actually marking one of the 2 players that are split. That's Bissouma's marking his man. Where is Romero? Where is Micky van der Ven? They're all out of sorts. Now, it begs the question, why? Was it just falling asleep? Was it just sort of thinking that the half was sort of, was coming to its natural conclusion and sloppiness? Or is it because they're not used to playing this new sort of system where Micky van der Ven, obviously with possession, sort of playing more as a left back? I've got no idea why Pedro Porro was the other side of the pitch from where he should be. That's a problem. But Romero marking nobody and playing the man on side is a massive problem. As much as Romero gets forward and can score goals and scored 3 on the bounce, his A, Bs and Cs of his job, he doesn't do necessarily anywhere near as well as I think a lot of people think he does. Let's look at the second goal, guys. This is the second goal. Where's the first image? The first image is right here. I think this is the first one. Let me just double check. I've got rid of that one, done that one. Yeah, so here's the first. Here's the first pass, right? The number 23 again. I think that was Paris, is it? He gets the ball. You can see Romero is trying to attack the substitute, the number 9 who came off the bench, who scored the goal. He's trying to track him, and this is more natural setup, right? Flat back 5 with 3. We're in our structural position. He's got lost though. Romero's got lost off of that man as the ball gets flicked in. Sorry, wrong picture. As the ball gets flicked in to here. Sorry. What's the first one? Here it is. Romero, so the number 9 there has basically done a dummy. He's dummied it and let it go to the guy behind him, who I think that's Marcus Edwards at that point in time. Romero is completely sold. Completely, absolutely sold. He was too late to the tackle, and he gets entirely caught out. Piss poor from him. At this point, you see Micky van der Ven start to come across to try to nullify the threat. And Kevin Danso, that wasn't Marcus Edwards, because Marcus Edwards is there in the 10 on the left-hand side near Kevin Danso. Both of those guys are doing their job, but Romero has stepped up and he's got the timing all wrong. As the ball then turns, the guy cuts inside. Romero's completely out. He's got 3 men. Look at that, 3 men to pick from, because Jedley King, Jed Spence, is tracking back. Conor Gallagher tracking back. Bissouma, no one's busting a gut. Romero's completely caught out. Micky van der Ven sticks his leg out. Obviously, the guy does the dummy, pulls it inside. And then, look, you've got Kevin Danso, who's there to block the shot if the shot is taken. We have to ask questions about where Jedley King's desperation to get back is. Absolute nightmare. And then from there on, we know what happens. He plays it through to the number 9. It could have gone through to Marcus Edwards. Had it gone through to Marcus Edwards, I think Edwards was offside, and it also could have fallen through to the 23. But it's just absolutely appalling defending, and it started with Romero. It started with Romero once again. So, like, I think we have to have, like, a conversation here, guys, around, is his contribution at the top end of the pitch something that the kind of, I don't know, does he flatter to deceive a little bit? I think his defensive work, when he's on, he's incredible. When he wants to be there, he's fantastic. He has the ability to crunch. His timing at times can be sensational. But for me, too many goals are conceded because of his erratic defensive work. Is it smoke and mirrors, Marshall? 100%. I think you might be right. The fullbacks certainly haven't covered there at all. As I say, in the first goal, Pedro Porro is completely out of position. He should be on the other side. He isn't. At that point, someone has to take charge of that situation. Conor Gallagher was over there, but obviously not doing his job. There was nobody there to figure that one out in the moment, and obviously we get punished as a consequence. I'm not even sure if Pedro Porro is there that he does a better job, because we know he can be really poor at the back post. However, he at least is used to that environment and knows where to be and what he should be able to handle it better. But you've got the 2 situations there. You've got 3 men or 4 men at the back post for the Kyle Walker cross, and on that situation there, because Romero gets sold the dummy, and it's a lovely little move by the number 9 to dummy him and then spin off. Then you have 3 men to pick from with the number 23 to put the ball in. Absolutely, like, catastrophic organization from a team that we have been, when we're looking to give them credit, we say, well, he has made Tottenham Hotspur better at that side of the game. Has he? Because in the key moments, it's Bozo. The Bozo gene it comes into play. Now, listen, it's not all about Romero, because, again, Romero got us out of trouble there with an absolutely unbelievable bullet header. But for me, I don't know, like, who to blame for what happened yesterday. I don't know where we go. I'm going to come into what we do now, because obviously I don't know what we do that situation either. But if you're looking at the game, you're listening to the fans, right? The fans singing you're getting sacked in the morning. We want Frank out. Having banter with the Burnley fans about which one of the 2 teams is worse. The away fans clearly have got absolutely no time for the football, absolutely no time for the manager. Obviously, Matt Cox doesn't either. Big up to you, Matty boy. Hope you're okay, my man. But I feel like the actual game, 2 mistakes defensively that cost us, that were individual errors. For the most part, individual errors, but you also have to question where is the discipline, where is the organization that is there for the most part, but it gets sloppy when players get pulled out of position for whatever reason. Again, the Pedro Porro thing, I've got no idea why he was over there. I can't think if it was because did it start from a corner kick? I can't remember. Is that why he was back and then had to come this side to mop it up? Either way, it looks like we're organized for single situations, and then the second ball, the follow through, the kind of the next phase. If it does get recycled and there's a second chance, we're pulled out of position and there's nobody there to be able to kind of step up and go, right, I'm kind of being asked to do something that I'm not usually asked to do, but I still need to know what to do in that situation, because there shouldn't be scenarios where Tottenham Hotspur there's no Tottenham players around a pocket of 3 or 4 Burnley players in the same area in a danger zone, in the red zone, right? It's crazy to me. Absolutely crazy. Now, who do you blame for it? Well, there's an argument to say the organization comes from the coaches, right? The managers, the Heitingers, he's just got here, but Thomas Frank is supposed to be adaptable in these sort of situations. But it's also sloppy and they are individual errors. And so you could make the argument that that's not really on Thomas Frank. In terms of what we did with possession, I really liked it yesterday. I really liked it. I liked seeing Jed Spence playing more advanced. Again, I thought it worked against Dortmund. I think he's a threat. And I liked the fact that we had Micky van der Ven kind of working as like a left back in possession, similar to what we saw with Destiny Udogie in the Dortmund game. I kind of liked it. I did. But I think if we're trying and we're messing around with these sorts of things, then there's going to be natural consequences of not having a hell of a lot of time to be able to figure that stuff out. Like, we only played on Tuesday night. So then Wednesday you're resting. Thursday, you're back in and around the doing your rehab, whatever else. So you have a couple of days on the training ground for Micky van der Ven to play in an out of position back 3 that basically looks like he's playing left back with a left wing back further advanced in a much more advanced position. There's going to be consequences to him being, and to Tottenham generally being, unused to that kind of skew in the formation. But if you're not ready to do it, then then you shouldn't be doing it. But if you are ready to be doing it, then there's no excuses for the lapses in concentration. Defensively yesterday, we were all at sea in the few moments that Burnley had, the very few moments that Burnley had to cause trouble. We weren't there. It looked like we were suddenly focusing on what we were doing with the ball rather than what we were doing without it. And I'm going to come to the positives, because I thought what we did with the ball yesterday was really, really good at times. I liked what we did. I think Udogie had one of his best games in a Tottenham shirt. You can see he's getting his confidence up to take players on, to do things himself. Wonderful cross for Romero's goal. I think the other cross that landed at Mathys Tel's foot, and Mathys Tel was so unlucky not to get into the top cornering. What an unbelievable reach that was from Dubravka. He also had the curling shot himself. That was another top draw save from Dubravka. I think he had another chance where he linked up with Xavi Simons, and Xavi Simons could have threaded through Jed Spence. Instead, he decides to kind of invert it back on himself, and it falls in a bit of a scramble to Udogie, who tries to put his foot through it and hits it down the throat of Dubravka. So that was a relatively easy save. I'm not sure, was it? Oh no, that was Xavi Simons who put the flick on put the cross in for Solanke. And Solanke obviously gets his head on it. If Solanke just glides it slightly off of his head or in a different direction, you're 2-0 up then. There were plenty of chances. It was by far, for me, it was the most impressive chance creation 90 minutes that I have seen. And it didn't really slow down. I think the quality of the chances dropped off a little bit in the second half. And I think that's because Solanke obviously doesn't have 90 minutes in his legs. I think Solanke shouldn't be necessarily, it being expected to play 75 minutes. My complaint about Thomas Frank yesterday isn't necessarily about the tactics, and it isn't necessarily about the formation, and it wasn't about the football. My complaints about him were how long he waited to make substitutions. He should have had those substitutions on 10, 15 minutes earlier than he did. And we waited and waited and waited. And then we get hit with the 2-1, the 2-1 deficit. And then the changes come on. And when the changes come on, we're bringing on the same players that he intended to bring on before that happened. You're bringing on midfielders and defenders in that scenario when you've just gone down 2-1. Bit of a head scratcher, like the game state has changed. Are you going to react and adapt differently? First of all, you should have made the changes earlier. You didn't. That's a bit of a cross in your column. Second of all, when the goal goes in and then you stick to the plan that you had for when it was 1-1, rather than going for now you have to chase the game, but you stick with the same substitutions. Bit of a head scratch for me. Didn't appreciate that. Change for what? For who? Same players, no guarantee of improvement, just destabilization again. I think if you're talking about changing the manager, we're going to come to that in a minute. But I just want to get through the game state first. For me, guys, like I say, I think there were lots of positives. And look, we didn't let our heads drop. We still fought back and we got the goal in the end, 2-2. But on a different day, we win that game 4-5-1, entirely comfortable. And I think that these sorts of things are, they happen. They do happen. They happen to Tottenham a little bit too much. But I really don't think that I'm going to blame too much of what happened yesterday on Thomas Frank. I really don't. That doesn't mean that Thomas Frank's that 90 minutes of like pretty impressive, pretty enjoyable football. I enjoyed watching the game and I enjoyed the Dortmund game. I think we're starting to see a little bit more football that's being kind of baked into our systems now, which is good. And like I say, I think the positives of Jed Spence's performance, the positives of Bissouma, who was by far the better of the two midfielders. Nice to see him back. It's like having a kind of short-term new player in that regard because he can pass the ball and he's combative. And I thought Udogie was really good. And it's nice to see it like Dominic Solanke get some more minutes in his legs. And hopefully he'll be back to 90 minutes soon enough. Hopefully he won't get injured. It's nice to see. I don't think we got an injury. I think that Pedro Porro had to come off at halftime because he was just sort of, I think he took a knock, but really just fatigued. But I think there was sort of positives from the performance, but the result isn't what you wanted. And obviously, unless you have a result now with where Thomas Frank is at with the situation with his popularity, the performance is one thing, but if the performance comes with a result that isn't up to scratch, thank you, then you're going to get the boos. And I think the away fans have made their mind up on him massively. I think that there's no coming back from the away fans, and I think that I think the die is cast a little bit. If you win that game yesterday 2-1, if you win that game 3-2, or if you go on the way we should have done, and it was 4-5-1, does Thomas Frank get a reprieve from the away fans? Maybe temporarily, but it feels to me like they are that the songs that they're singing are kind of pre-intended. I think that they are like I say. I think it's a fait accompli in terms of opinion. And so whatever happens from now on, if the performance is subpar and the result is good, that's not going to be enough. If the performance is better and the result isn't perfect, that's also not going to be enough. And so I think it's a waiting game until Vinai has the solution in place to bring someone else in. Problem is that we've got a horrendous run of games coming up. And if he loses, which is entirely likely, if he loses to the first two of those against, I think it's Arsenal, or Manchester City first, then United, and then Arsenal, then Newcastle, isn't it? If he loses against City and he loses against Manchester United, then, we're going to sack. I think he will be sacked before he has any. But before we bring a new guy in, I think he's going to be sacked after the time in which any new guy can be given the support that person might need. The thing that I think is keeping him in place right now is simply that there is no alternative. In stockbroking, there's a phrase called TINA, right? There is no alternative. Why is it that these stocks keep going up despite their valuations getting to unrealistic levels? And this was a common theme throughout the throughout the last sort of 6 or 7 years, up until COVID, really, in fact, sorry. It changed a little bit after COVID, but there was no alternative, right? That all of the other markets that you could put your money in weren't offering any sort of return. So people had to put their money somewhere. And I think right now with Tottenham, I'm sitting there looking at the situation, and I think that Vinai looks at it and thinks there is no alternative. That there's more options going to be available in the summer. There'll be a hell of a lot of managers that will be leaving their international spots. I think there's 2 or 3 managers, right? The Ralf Rangnick, who'll be done with Austria. Nagelsmann will be done with Germany in all likelihood. Pochettino will be done with America. You know, who knows? I'm not saying for a second that Ancelotti would come to Tottenham, but like there's you know, there'll be a lot of managers that will finish that can't be bothered to wait an extra 2 years for the next tournament or 4 years. That they'll just miss the day in day out grind of managerial football. And I think he's got one eye on that. So therefore, what do you do in the meantime? Well, the only reason to sack Thomas Frank is if you truly believe that you are in a relegation battle. You know, do you think we're in a relegation battle, guys? Stick 1 in the chat if you think we are literally in a relegation battle. Stick 0 if you think it's if we're not really in a relegation battle. If we've got enough about us to make sure that we're safe. We're 4 points ahead in terms of on the board than we were this time last year. And we have a nightmare ahead of us if we lose all 4 of those games against United, Arsenal, City, and Newcastle. You know, by the end of February, we could be. And West Ham have got a couple of tough games, but they've also got a couple of games that are winnable. And they're starting to play some football. They're starting to believe in themselves. They were very convincing against Sunderland, very, very convincing. Their manager is being backed as well. You know, Sullivan's throwing everything at it. I think the other concern is, right, are there other teams beneath us in the Premier League table that are also that are worse than us? Even if West Ham go on a run, are the other teams that are beneath us also going to go on a run? Ask after February, Chad, or Jay Adelaide. Yeah, Forest are winning right now, are they? Jesus Christ. Let's have a look at the Premier League table. Yeah, Forest are currently winning early in the game against Brentford, and that was a game that I thought that Brentford would mop up the points there. Let me have a look. See, where's my Premier League table? Here we go. It's a concern. It is definitely a concern. What you guys saying, but before I come into this? So 0s are we are not. 1s are we are in a. So no relegation battle. Relegation. No relegation. Relegation. No. Yes. No. It's split. It's really split. A lot of you are saying yes, they're in a relegation battle. You know, it's pretty scary. It is pretty scary. I've got to be honest with that. I don't think it's unlikely, because at the same time, right, you have to also look at this. Right, 4th place is currently Liverpool on 36 points, and we are on 28 points. So there's 8 points that separate us from Liverpool in 4th spot. There's 7 points from the Champions League spot. Right, we are 7 points away from Champions League positions. 6 points away from Europa League, and yet we are 8 points away from relegation. And if Forest do win today, if Forest and Leeds win today, by the way, then and Leeds have got Everton on Monday night, then we're all on 28 points. We are all on 28 points. So you can basically then sit there and forget about the notion of, well, it's not just West Ham that has to outperform us, it's everybody else, because really they don't. We've got an extra point because of our goal difference. That's about it. You know, it's quite incredible that we've come to this situation. It really is. I don't want to hear about... Let me get back to my screen. Hang on. What are we doing here? Bear with me 1 second. Let's go back to this. What were you saying there? I don't want to hear about how great their goalie was, We let in 2 horrible goals to a horrible club. 2 goals. Oh, Forest are on 25 after today if they win. Sorry, Kev. You're right. Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. So they're 3 points off us. This game week we will be 16th. It says it all. No. It's only if Leeds. No, I think we stay 15th regardless, right? We stay 15th regardless. But we're getting into us. We haven't won in a long time. You know, in the Premier League. Was it 5 games in the Premier League? No wins. At least 5. Not good. Not good. Yeah, that counts. Sorry, Callum. You're right, mate. Yeah, I made a mistake there. Quick super chat from Chudini. Big up to you, Chew to you, my man. Chew to you. It is a real struggle, isn't it, at the moment? My man, big up to you. Chew, buddy. Chew. Always here, always supporting. And Gamlinger says people want Vic out, but surely the attack is the priority. Well, this is the problem, right? So in terms of the Champions League squad, at least, you can only make three swaps at the end. So let's say we beat Frankfurt on Wednesday. Then you've got 3 swaps that you can make. Well, you might as well take out Berghvall. You might as well take out. Kolo Muani. This is the other thing, by the way. Kolo Muani didn't even. How is it? And no one asked this question. Nobody asked this question in the post-match press conference that we watched live, right? It only lasted about 5 minutes, which is another thing I think is an absolute disgrace, by the way. How is it that the post-match press conference lasts for 5 minutes? It's outrageous. You know, fans don't get that much in the way of insight. I understand that the manager's pissed off. I understand that there's it's not the perfect time but at the same time, you want more analysis after the game than you do before the game. You want the analysis. You want to understand what happened. Like, where was the question? Why is it that Dane Scarlett comes on ahead of Kolo Muani? Dane Scarlett, the guy who's failed at 5 different loan gigs in the Championship, couldn't get on the Portsmouth team, couldn't get into the other teams that he went on loan at, and yet he's coming on ahead of Kolo Muani. We might know the answer because Kolo Muani's not really trying. But if that's the case, ask the question. Has Kolo Muani basically said that he's not interested in playing for us anymore? Is that it? And if so, then what's he still doing here? Tear it up. Tear him. Send him home. If he doesn't want to be here, because then we're fucked, aren't we? Scarlett's way better than him, Screwface. Is he? Is he? Muani's a very good player. He just doesn't care. But Dane Scarlett isn't a very good player, in my opinion. He's nowhere near good enough. Sean, you can't do that, mate. Can't do what? Sean, you can't do that. Can't do what? What can't I do? I'm not sure what I can't do. Let me know. Villa are 1-0 up. Who have Villa got today? Villa are playing Newcastle. Wow. Buendia, what a player he is, by the way. What a player Buendia is. He's such a good player. Such a good player. For me, guys, I'm of the opinion that Vinai is caught between a rock and a hard place here. And I need to know what you guys want to do, right? Do you sack him anyway and give the job to Johnny Heitinger, who's been here 2 minutes? Shout some names out. Shout some names out on who it is that if we sack him today, it basically means that you either get the job, give the job to someone who is currently available. So Xabi Alonso or Xavi Hernandez. You have to pay them an extortionate amount of money. And this notion, by the way, of who would come and manage Tottenham, it's a busted flush. I don't think that is really. I can understand people maybe not wanting to come in right now with the prospect of relegation, right? Because if they were to come in on a full term and then if God forbid we got relegated, then they'd obviously, it'd be a nightmare. So I can understand that part of it. But in terms of just the prospect of managing Tottenham Hotspur, it's a win-win. It's a win-win for any manager because first of all, you're going to get paid more than most managers, right? Thomas Frank is not the fourth best manager in the Premier League on any metric, not on his win percentage, not on his trophies, not on his success ratios, on no realistic sort of tangible measurement is Thomas Frank the fourth best manager, but yet he is the fourth highest paid, right? Joint alongside Vinai, alongside Emery. So Tottenham always pay their managers well, right? So you know you're going to get paid a lot of money. You also know that the likelihood is that you're going to get hounded out after 18 months or even less. And so you know you're going to get paid out the entirety of your contract if the inevitable and the consistent themes happen, which is magnificent outcomes do not materialize immediately. The fans will once again demand change, and they might also demand change at the ownership or whatever. But they're still going to stick to their guts and say, well, this football sucks, or that you're just not good enough, and the context is kind of irrelevant. So get out of our club. And then obviously the owners will eventually do what they always do, which is use the manager as a shield. So they'll get paid handsomely. If it doesn't work out, which is the likely scenario, they'll get paid off. On top of that, their reputation isn't damaged. It isn't, because you're just the latest in a long line of failed managers that have come to Tottenham Hotspur. And most of those, or at least some of those, have had far bigger reputational jeopardy than you do. Like Conte came and failed. It didn't ruin his reputation. He went on to Napoli and he carried on with his career. Nuno came to Tottenham. He didn't ruin his reputation. He went on to Forest and built something there, and it was unlucky for him to get sacked. It didn't ruin Pochettino's reputation, even though Pochettino, for what it's worth, is relatively considered as the most quote-unquote successful manager that Tottenham have had in the last sort of 20 years. And he didn't win anything. So even the manager that is considered the best of all of them didn't win anything. The managers that did win something, Ramos, Graham, and Ange, well, in two of those cases, no one talks about them. And in the case of Ange, it's the split model, right? You get some people that are like, will evangelize him forever and want him back. And then other people will say, what about the 22 league defeats? He was rubbish. So the successful ones don't really get like that high of a reputational or like a kind of, they don't get like some sort of homage to them. And the ones that don't succeed, well, if you fail at Tottenham, you're just another one that failed, reputation undamaged. And even the ones that fail but fail well, well, they get put up on a pedestal forevermore by fan base who linger for another run at that particular horse. Like, where is the downside? And if you happen to come into Tottenham and you happen to turn it round, if it all happens to go right, you're going to be a bloody hero. You'll be a hero. If Xabi Alonso came to Tottenham, or Hernandez came to Tottenham, Xabi came to Tottenham, or if Poch comes back, or whatever else, if they happen to do it and they happen to get us back to the top four, playing good football and lift the trophy, they will be forever remembered as a hero. And if they don't, they're just another one of the guys who failed, and they'll carry on going on to other successes, and they'll still get paid out. People that are telling me it's a poison chalice at Tottenham, why would any manager want to come here? There's the blueprint, because it's a win-win. It's a win-win. If you fail, no one cares. If you succeed, you're a unicorn. So have at it. If I'm Xabi Alonso right now and I'm looking for a job, well, look, Liverpool lost again yesterday, so maybe they're one step closer to sacking Arne Slot. I'm sure he does want the Liverpool job. I don't think he would come to Tottenham, but for what it's worth, there are stories out today. I'll see if I can bring it up on the old thing here. Apparently this is according to Paul O'Keefe. I don't know if it is because he's not linked it, but and I can't see because I'm blocked by the donut. But he's saying that Tottenham have already approached Xabi Alonso over the managerial role. Xavi Hernandez is another contender to replace Frank. So if those are the two that we're looking at, Let me know your thoughts, guys. I think that Liverpool are going to go after Xabi Alonso, but I don't think that Xabi Alonso has done anything really that makes him so unbelievably outstanding that he, just because he went to Real Madrid, like he failed at Real Madrid. He was there for 6 months. He pissed off half the team. He couldn't manage the egos there. And let's be honest, Gareth Bale was bang on about managing Real Madrid. You don't have to be a coach. Gareth Bale said this. Gareth Bale said, if you're the manager of Real Madrid, it's just about managing egos. That's all it is. Keeping everybody happy. He goes, they're all good enough. They're all superstars. You don't need to coach them into better players. They are already the best players in the world for the most part. So it's just about keeping everybody happy, and a happy dressing room equals a successful one, which is why Ancelotti was so good, because he garnered the support. He fostered the respect of the dressing room. Does a guy who's 36 years old, or however old Xabi Alonso is, does he really have that ability? It didn't look like it. What did he do at Leverkusen? Well, he was fantastic at Leverkusen, but he had a brilliant squad, a very underrated squad. He had one of the best back fives in the game. Some unbelievable talent. People that fly under the radar. Alex Garcia, Ezequiel Palacios, Jonah Tah, Frimpong. They had some unbelievable players in that Leverkusen team. And of course, Bayern Munich were going through their own rebrand, their reshuffle, as they moved on with the guy from Burnley, right? So, sometimes it's about like timings. Half of life is about timing, right? And the other half's luck. I'm just saying that I don't think Xabi Alonso's done anything that really puts him at that kind of level, where he's just a unbelievable coach. He's been doing coaching for a relatively small amount of time. He did very well in Germany, but he failed at Real Madrid, down the pecking order a little bit. But if he does go to Liverpool, fair enough. Fair enough. What are we saying in the chat? Real Madrid is a mess, though. Even their board is going through it. Yeah. According to Sava, Timmy Mallet would do as good a job, but I'd rather see Pat Sharp if we're going down that direction. Would do just as good a job as what? Not sure what you're saying. It's going to be Frank until Poch is available, says Saz. That's what I see. I think that he'll stay, because I don't think that either of these two will probably want to come to Tottenham. I also, as much as I like Xavi Hernandez, I really do. I think he's an unbelievable scholar of the game, like the way he played football and his approach to football in terms of how he would like to manage, I think is admirable. And I think Tottenham fans would love it. Question marks are, though, the Conor Gallaghers of the world and the Bissoumas and the Palinias a good fit for that sort of midfield behaviour? Probably not. And so you're just putting a square peg in a square hole. If you do bring in Xavi Hernandez, you need to overhaul the squad entirely. Not entirely, but like for the most part. For the most part, you do. So it's not entirely obvious to me. Stanley Cush wants Ryan Mason back. Not for me, mate. What has Ryan Mason done? The guy's been around Tottenham like a kid who won't fly the nest. He finally got out to go do his first job, and he was sacked in 6 months. Tough lesson for him. But to bring him back, it's the same sort of thing as bringing back Dane Scarlett and expecting him to sort of fill in. What are we doing here? So respectfully disagree with you, Stanley. But listen, it's all just opinions. Gus Poyet is available. Couldn't be worse than Frank. I met Gus Poyet in the Tunnel Club against when we lost to West Ham a couple of years ago. I went to the Tunnel Club. My friend Danny took me to the game, and I was sat in between Gus Poyet and Houston, and I had a long conversation with both of them. Don't know if Gus Poyet for me came across as someone that has the charisma, I think, to manage a first team. He was a great player, but he was quite no disrespect to the guy, but I mean, listen, maybe he just wasn't in a mood to talk to me that much. But I thought Houston was really nice guy. He went on to manage. Houston was managing one of the teams in the AFCON, the team that has the two Nico Williams and the other one. Is it Inaki Williams? One of them plays for the African team. The other one plays for Spain. I'm pretty sure it's Inaki Williams that plays for the. Is it? Let me have a look. What team was it? Inaki Williams. What team is he? Ghana. Yeah, that's it. He was in charge of the Ghanaian football team. Didn't go too well. So Chris Hughton back in. Yeah. This is the thing. Like, he knows his stuff. Chris Hughton loves the club as well, but he didn't do too well with managing Ghana. I think they got kicked out of the tournament earlier that year. After Feb, we might be in Big Sam territory. Gee whiz. I mean, Gus Poyet couldn't be worse than Frank. I've heard it all now. Yeah. No, listen, for me, Gus Poyet was like I say, I was asking him some sort of tactical stuff just to sort of pick his brains on things, and he didn't really have any answers like that were. I was like, oh, okay. It felt like he was just, I don't know. I don't know how to say it in a respectful way, but didn't come across like someone that was tactically astute. And not that I am at all, of course. That's why I was asking him the questions. I've got a couple more super chats, I think. I've got one more super chat. Big up to Sean Hurl. He says, how will goal difference look at the end of February? That's a good point. That is a good point. You know? Do you guys think that if we were to sign a striker, he failed the Butler interview. He did fail the Butler interview a little bit. I was just like, he's a lovely guy. Don't get me wrong, really nice guy. He's very easy to talk to, convivial. Like, was happy to have a conversation with me. I wasn't that blown away with some of his insights, if that makes sense. But the other hand is, guys, right? The other hand, I feel like I'm nervous to say this out loud. I genuinely feel like I'm nervous to say this because I feel like the pylon is going to be like, what are you talking about? But I genuinely do think that we are playing better football. I think I'm starting to see things. Do any of you guys agree with that? Like, one, if you think I'm talking sense, 0 if you think I'm talking absolute bollocks. I genuinely do think that we're starting to see better football. I think that we're starting to create better opportunities. I think that, you know, on another day yesterday, we would have won that game 4-0, 5-0. And I think that I'm not as bored. I think that we've gone through 10, 12, 15 games. At the first 15 games of the season, I'm like, oh, this isn't going to last, right? The XG numbers are just what they are. You can see that we're sat here at the table, but really we should be down here. We spoke about that throughout September and October. And as that all panned out and we start to fall down, I'm like, well, look, the chickens are coming home to roost because we're not playing any sort of levels of football. And Thomas Frank said these things are taking time, but we're getting there. It's going to get better. And we just need to kind of, you know, just it's slowly, with a big oil tanker turning at sea. And I'm seeing it. I'm starting to see that we're looking better, try harder, work. And so you don't see it then, Matt. You don't see it. I don't blame Thomas Frank for yesterday. You know, I also think that the West Ham performance, you know, we played well in the first half. Obviously, we were tired in the second half, and there were just a couple of things obviously went the wrong way. Dortmund was better. I can't really remember the last time. And this is where Thomas Frank, I feel like he says things and people just like, you're taking the piss, mate. You're like, you're delusional. But I kind of agree with him that, like, of the last 6 or 7 games, I mean, I can't remember that. Was it? I mean, how long ago was Chelsea and Arsenal? Because those games were appalling. But let me have a look. Tottenham results. Matches. Not that one. Here we go. Let me get it up on the screen. So, Arsenal was atrocious. I thought we played well against PSG in the first half. Obviously, they kicked on in the second and were better off at the end. Fulham, we were appalling. Newcastle away was a good result, but I think the performance was pretty poor. Then we were better against Brentford, but not sensational. Slavia Prague was an easy night. Forest was atrocious, absolutely atrocious. That was the worst performance of the season for me. I thought we were pretty decent against Liverpool. I thought we played well. I thought that we were sloppy and just again Romero cost us in that game, and Xavi Simons cost us in that game, getting the early red card. Again, not fantastic against Palace in terms of the way we played, but we got the result. It was more of like just dig that one out. Good result away at Palace. Brentford was a boring performance that pissed me off, but we didn't get beaten. Sunderland didn't lose. I mean, we should be. I'm not sitting here trying to defend that we didn't throw enough caution to the wind. But then since then, like I feel like the Bournemouth game, we were playing better football, and it was like could have gone either way. That game definitely could have gone either way. We could have easily won that game 3-2. Lots of chances at both sides. The Villa game, I think we played well for one half of football, didn't we? But we shot ourselves in the foot. West Ham, again, I thought we played well, could have gone either way. Dortmund, we were fine. Like, I feel like we are starting to play better football. And, like, I don't know if this is an agreeable take or not. But for me, I think that we're starting to get better in the performances. It's just the results haven't caught up yet. And generally speaking in life, if you put one foot in front of the other, like if you go to the gym, I don't know why I'm saying that, using this as an analogy because I'm a fat git, but like if you go to the gym every day and you just work hard and you do your thing, you stick to the plan and you get through it, you might get frustrated because the weighing scales don't look any different immediately, but you know that if you put the right things together, eventually it's going to take shape because that's just the logic and the physics of it, So Marshall doesn't agree. Listen, by the way, I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve to get sacked. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm okay with it. If the club make that decision, check the stats against those games, Sean. Do they back that up a bit? Okay, let's have a look. Let's do it. Let's do the diagnosis. So in the game, where are we? Is this back to front? No, come on, this way. Here we go. So in the game against Burnley, we had 17 shots, 11 on target, 62% possession. I've got to do this every time. Fuck's sake. In the game against West Ham, when we lost, 19 shots, 6 on target, 61% possession against 13 and 5. Yeah, game could have gone either way. Certainly, we dominated in the possession and in the statistics. Pass accuracy of 73% for West Ham. That's just so bad. Horrendous end to that game. Horrendous end to the game. But I would say that I think that Tottenham were worthy of more out of that game, 100%. I know the outcome is all that matters. It's a results-based business. I'm not pitching an argument here to sit there and say that, we're starting to get better, therefore all is forgiven or forgotten. 100% it isn't. In the Villa game. In the Villa game, 15 shots, 6 on target, 20 to Villa, 9 on target. Possession was slightly in their favour. Yeah, that game could have gone either way. I thought we were worthy of, I think if that game had been a draw or whatever, I think it would have been fair. But again, I think any Villa fan watching that would also say that they were worthy as well. I'm not sure if I'm defending the indefensible here. I'm genuinely not trying to sit there and make a case that Thomas Frank. If you want Thomas Frank gone, have at it. Like I'm absolutely fine with that take. I felt that way myself at times. I'm just making I'm pitching the case, right? That if we don't know who we can pivot to, if we don't have an obvious option to come in now, and most people want to see Pochettino in the summer, and that is infinitely more affordable, it's infinitely more likable or probable, or someone like him, other international managers that want a job, it's a juicier market in the summer. I guess it's the same thing of me saying, does anyone want Somerville on a 5-year contract right now? Because we don't have enough attacking options for right now, because we still have seen no Decky, Maddison's out, Richarlison's out, Mwani's decided he doesn't want to play for us. You know, there was a mistake, obviously, getting that loan deal. Do you want to commit to another player right now who doesn't move the needle, but you're gonna have buyer's remorse in 6 months' time, but you've got to do it now because it's all you can get in January? And I think, to me, the answer is obviously no for that sort of transfer. And I think that you might be able to, it's not that dissimilar of a stance when it comes to managers. If you know that there's a market that's opening up in the summer, all you have to do is figure out a way to get there without getting relegated, which is the big if, right? But like I say, we are fewer points away from a Champions League spot than we are from the relegation battle. Everyone's looking over their shoulder going, shit, we're in a relegation battle. But actually, you know, by that rationale, should Liverpool be looking over their shoulder and saying, shit, Tottenham are only 8 points away from us? I know it doesn't work that way, because obviously we're not playing in a way that's going to catch up. It's more likely we're going to get caught up than it is that we're going to catch up. So I hear that. I'm not making that argument, but like the league is just so compact and so tight. Everyone can beat anybody. Burnley, by the way, drew with Liverpool just last week. Nottingham Forest drew with Arsenal. Like it's not beyond the realms of reason to sit there and say that these teams are not, they are capable of putting in a performance, and that to expect to just rock up and just walk past people is an unreasonable take. Matt's having a crack at me today. What are you saying? It's finally happened. You've got wet brain, mate. No, well, maybe, possibly. Like I say, I'm not pitching that that everything's forgiven. I hope everyone can hear what I'm saying. I'm just saying, if you can see that the football is improving to some degree, and if you know that if you put one foot in front of the other, then usually the results will start to catch up. As long as the performances continue to improve, then hopefully the results will justify the ends justifies the means. At the same time, if you include the fact that Vinai is more likely to stick to his plan because he knows that he stuck to the plan with Arteta and that worked out. It doesn't mean that just because it happened there, by the way, Vinai, that it will happen with Thomas Frank. That's not the case at all. I'm struggling to make this pitch, aren't I? I'm just saying, if there's nowhere better to go right now, and you're seeing marginal improvements in the performances, which has been part of the problem that people are pissed off about, and there's a whole better market coming up in 6 months, then if you don't believe we're in a relegation battle, then what is the point of sacking him for someone else? Because, by the way, different and new does not necessarily mean better. If you sack Thomas Frank and you give it to Heitinger for the next 6 months, that doesn't mean that we're going to be safe. Just because you sack him, it doesn't mean that you're going to get a new manager bounce. That not every team that sacks their manager gets a new manager bounce. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? Mate, listen. All right, fuck it, sack him, whatever. I'm caught between two minds. I am caught between two minds. On the one hand, I feel like he doesn't deserve to be here. It's not good enough. It hasn't been good enough. And I think that the players are, I think a lot of the players, some of the players are not particularly buying in, 100%. I think his treatment of players like Mathys Tel has been abhorrent. So I'm not a fan of that. I think his substitution timings look poor. And I think that the fact that when the game state changes, you've got two players ready to come on, then you concede a goal, and then those two players are the same players that you bring on, despite the fact that the whole game state has changed. That also, to me, screams of what are we doing here? I don't think that he's enjoying it. I think he wants to, I think he's begging for the sack. I think he's begging for it personally. I think he hates the pressure and the fan base that are going after him every chance they get. But I genuinely think that Tottenham Hotspur played better yesterday than they have for a long, long time. And I think that we deserved the win. And if it wasn't for a miraculous worldie by their goalkeeper and a couple of sloppy moments from individuals that is not on Thomas Frank, then we would be having a different conversation this morning. We would be 11 points off of relegation and we'd be only 5 points off of Champions League. And all of a sudden things look different, like they probably do in the West Ham fan base right now, having got 2 back-to-back wins. And they're thinking that they've got a chance of getting themselves out of trouble. It doesn't take a lot to change the narrative and the win. But I think that the fans have made their mind up. But I'm just asking whether or not your mind is made up regardless. And so the fact that we didn't win, it doesn't matter about how we didn't win. It doesn't matter that we should have won. It doesn't matter that we deserve to win comfortably. It doesn't matter that the goalie put in an absolute unbelievable shift. All of those things are irrelevant because I've made my mind up that Thomas Frank is the problem, part of the problem, and he has to go. Are any of you maybe guilty of ignoring all of the context of what happened yesterday? Is what I'm asking. Are any of you maybe guilty of saying, I don't care. I don't care. We didn't beat Burnley and we lost to West Ham and we're 8 points off the relegation zone. Therefore, he has to go. I think some of you are. I think some of you are. I think the away fans are singing their songs like sideways and backwards everywhere we go. Well, we don't play, like yesterday wasn't sideways and backwards the entire time. We had more forward passes and more progressive passes yesterday than we've had all season. So, I mean, like I don't know. Like again, it's like preemptive strikes. You know. Check Matt Law, says Adiz. What's Matt Ball saying? I think he might have blocked me as well, has he? No, he hasn't. He hasn't tweeted today. Matt Law hasn't said anything today, Adiz. Can you just tell me what it is you think he said? I'm sick of ifs and or buts. So you're okay. That's fine. By the way, what's your name? Where were you? What's your name? No nonsense, football fan. I'm sick of ifs, ands, or buts. So you all you care about is the outcome, right? Okay. But were you also someone that was? I'm pretty sure you were someone that was complaining about the style of football when we were winning at the start of the season, when we beat Everton 3-0. I'm pretty sure I remember you saying this football is ridiculously poor. If you don't care about the context, then you only care about the outcome, which is a fine way to look at life. It's fine. It's not how I choose to look at life, but I've not got a problem with someone that, you know, there are no asterisks in life. No nonsense, man. There are no asterisks. There's only scoreboards. Okay, as what the amazing Ari Gold said in that acting program. What was that program called? Fucking brilliant program. Brilliant program. What are you drinking, Sean? Cough mixture, mate. This is the worst thing that's ever happened to me was discovering this stuff in Tottenham, Magnums. And then the double worst thing that ever happened to me was figuring out that they actually sell these in my local Londis down the road. I always thought this was like, well, it is Jamaica, it's a Jamaican tonic wine, but because it's like, you know, I live in Surrey, right? So it's a largely kind of white area. So there's not Entourage. That's it. Entourage. That's it, Nicky boy. So there's not a huge Jamaican contingent down here. So I've never seen any Magnums in any of the local off licenses or any of the local shops where you can get alcohol. So I go to Tottenham, and if I drive up, or if I drive up and I'm not drinking, I'll go and buy like 10 bottles of this stuff, stick it in the boot, and then usually I've drunk them all in a couple of days. But if I'm going up there and I'm drinking, I'll have 2 or 3 as I'm walking down the Seven Sisters Road or the High Road. And then I'll get drunk, and then by the end of the day, I'm too drunk to even do a video these days. So these things are redonkulously awesome. They're so good. I love them. I absolutely love them. They taste a little bit like cough syrup. But it gives you a little rat-a-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. You know? Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. Anyway. So, yeah, but now I found out that they sell them in my Londis. Dangerous times, man. Dangerous times, people. Dangerous times. 14.5% alcohol for £4 a pinch. They used to be £2.50. Can't believe Sean is guzzling them. Mate, I can't. You know who it was that put me on them? It was Daps from Never a Foul. I used to see him on the show. I used to go on his show occasionally on Never a Foul. But even when I was watching their show, I'd see him just sitting there like doing this. Usually he'd like go off camera and doing it, so he wasn't caught drinking on screen. And then occasionally I'd see the bottle come back in, and I text him going, "Mate, what are you drinking?" And he went, "Maggie." And I went, "What's a Maggers? What's a Maggie?" And he went, "Magnum." And I was like, "I only know of the chocolate ice cream." And he's like, "Nah, bro, you've got to get on them. 3 of them and you're good to go." And I was like, "Oh, really? Okay." So I go up to Tottenham and I find them in a shop. And well, listen, I am 8% Nigerian, Luke. I am 8% Nigerian. So now I need to find out if there's any Jamaican in me, but you know, there must be some in there. There must be some in there. It's absolutely sensational. Yeah, yeah. Won't be long until the accent comes out. I got called racist yesterday for doing a Nigerian accent. Listen, as someone said on the show, I think it was Matt Cox said it, just because you're offended doesn't mean that I was offensive. It's delicious stuff. I only didn't buy it, Sean, because I thought I'd drink it too quick. Proper alky, me. Before Sean showed it, I thought it was a giant condom. He thought this was a condom. No idea what's going on. Have I tried Jamaican Punch? I haven't. Where do I get Jamaican Punch from? Where do I get Jamaican? Sean, what's the real reason Savo is quitting his YouTube channel? I don't know. I think whatever he said, right? I think he's had enough. I think he's got plans. I think he wants to do something else. You know? Good luck to him. I personally think that Savo will come back though, because I think he likes to talk about football. But Magnum is a condom brand, Sean. Oh right. Oh, I wouldn't know, mate. Yeah, I'm 8% Nigerian, but not in that way. You know, they're the big ones, aren't they? They're the safe sex option for men that are well endowed, I guess, right? Yeah, I wish. I wish. I wish, people. What are we doing? Is it like Buckfast wine? I don't know what Buckfast wine is. No idea. I need to know what this is, though. Jamaican Punch. Cowling's coming round to arrest me. For what? What's Cowling? I don't get it. What do you mean? What's Cowling got to do with anything? Sean, next time you're in Tottenham, try a drink called the Wagwan. Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, I've tried the Wagwan's nice as well. They're basically the same thing, though, aren't they? They're the same thing, right? They're just a little bit more fruity. I've tried the Wagwans. I like the Wagwans. They're very good. Very good. Am I purchasing Sava's channel? Do you know what? I thought about it because you know me. I like to buy channels. I like to. I want to create a bloody empire. The thing is though, is that like if you're buying Sava's channel, you're basically buying another Tottenham channel. I've already got bloody 3 Tottenham channels. I've got this one. I've got Spurs 5, which was Henry Wright's old channel. And obviously we've got Football Inc., which, by the way, in 15 minutes' time, we're going over to Football Inc. So stick with us, and we're going to move over to go and see Johnny. But yeah, that's supposed to be like a broadly football channel. But because Johnny and I are both Tottenham fans, like we spend probably about 35-40% of the time, even if we're talking about non-Tottenham stuff, it seems to get like the analogies and the comparisons and the relativity of the conversation always comes back to Tottenham. You know, whenever there's a player out there. Like, what do you make of the I don't know, like Michael Elise? He might be leaving. Yo, I'd love him at Tottenham. He's not coming to Tottenham. Why is everything got to come back to Tottenham? Shut up, Butler. You've got enough Tottenham channels. So, yeah, I don't know if I need another Tottenham channel. I've got enough of them. But I think I could repurpose that channel into something fun. So if no one else wants to buy it off him, I might put in a cheeky bid, see what he's doing. You know, you can't have enough. You can't have enough channels. What's Connor want? What's Connor done? Hi, Mr. Butler. I'd like to speak to you about the inappropriate use of stereotypical accents. How the fuck has he done that? Guys, look at this. Look at this. Wait a minute. Where is it? Oh, that's so funny. That is so funny. Oh my God. Chris Cowlin wearing a police uniform. I think he was an extra, wasn't he? Hi, Mr. Butler. I'd like to speak to you about the inappropriate use of stereotypical accents on YouTube. It would happen. It would happen. That is fucking brilliant. The fact that you've got me wearing the same, and he's like, how has that AI also figured out that I'm a fat git, that it's given me a big fat neck, and it's got the right amount of like no jaw, slack jaw, yokel sort of thing going on here. That is so good. That is so good. Very good. Very, very good. AI is scary, man. Yeah, that's Cowlin. Yeah, Cowlin. I think Cowlin was in the bill, wasn't he? Yeah, Cowlin was in the bill. Yeah. You're getting cancelled by the wokerati. Yes. Yeah. That's one of the reasons why I'm not sure whether to carry on with I am going to do it anyway because fuck it. But one of the reasons why I'm a little bit concerned about carrying on with the rabbit hole ramblings, because that channel it's not particularly, we call out the government at every opportunity. Certain videos that we look at infer certain things about certain nations. Not my content. I'm just showing other people's content, and they connect the dots and go, yeah, Israel did it or whatever. So I feel like there's every chance, if it's not going to get me for like some sort of anti-Semitism thing, even though I'm not interested in any of that bollocks, or it'll get me for some anti-Islam thing, even though I don't care about that bollocks, or it will get me for some sort of like anti-Starmer thing, and I do care about that bollocks because he's a donut. But I feel like given the way the world is right now, feel like if I carry on with that channel, I'll probably be in prison. It is what it is, though. You only got one life. And I guess you're not really a man until you spent, 12 months living with other men, dangerous men. So, sexism for sure, that will get me 100% at one point or a time or another. You basically say what everyone else is thinking. Yeah. Leave Chris Cowlin alone. I like Chris. I'm not going to go at Chris. I didn't say anything about Chris. I think Chris is a great content creator. Loves the club. Yeah. No, Chris is a good guy. I met him once at the pre-season game this last summer at Luton. Yeah, we had a drink together. He's really nice guy. Really nice guy. I've been on his channel a couple of times and that as well. So yeah, there's nothing but love. Nothing but love there. I've got a couple of super chiddly chit chats, guys. A user says, I don't want Big Sam caught the match fixing fraud. Or caught for match fixing. Why are we having a conversation about Big Sam? If Big Sam ever appears in the top 5 favourites to be the next Tottenham manager on a betting site, then FML, we are in a really bad situation. I hope he's not on it. Let's have a look now. Next Tottenham manager list. Gee whiz. Let's have a look. See if he appears on there, shall we? How do I get this up? Who's on the next Tottenham manager list? Pochettino, 3-1. You can get 3.5-1 at Bet Victor. Robbie Keane, 4.5-1. Xavi Hernandez, 4.5-1. Xabi Alonso, 4. I mean, these are decent. Like, I say decent. They're not decent odds. They're like short odds. Like, you're not making a lot of money out of that. That's crazy, isn't it? You wouldn't put any money on that. That's wild. Oliver Glasner, also 9-2. Ruben Amorim, 9-1. Please don't tell me. What are we looking for? We're looking to see if what's his name comes on, aren't we? He's not there, is he? He's not there. No. There you go. The betting market doesn't think that... who the fuck are these people? Bo Svensson, Eric Ten Hag, Michael Carrick, Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, Adi Hooter, Francesco Farioli. Now, that's an interesting one. This guy at Porto is doing brilliantly. Francesco Farioli. He's got a wonderful style of play. Can you see this on the screen, by the way? Yeah, you can. He's got a lovely style of play, Farioli. Really nice football. He's undefeated this season in Portuguese football. Very, very impressive. Knutson, the Bodo Glimt guy. Zinedine Zidane at 33s. Gee whiz. Marcelo Bielsa, no chance. Carlos Corberan. He's interesting. Edin Terzic. He might be someone that you could bring in as a half-time, as like an interim sort of thing. But he's also incredibly dictatorial. Like, he wants his hands on everything. The Dortmund days, his football wasn't spectacular, but he did well. He got them to the Champions League final. But he was like, you should go and look up on the story about Edin Terzic, right? He got basically cop-blocked, blackballed by the players, the senior players in the Dortmund team at the time. When don't like this guy, and they basically downed tools and they went upstairs. They went like Danny Rose-esque, right? Or fuck you, I'm going to go and speak to Daniel Levy. These guys did that to Edin Terzic, which is how he got kicked out. But he also spent time as like on the board, basically, as a director of football. So he might be interesting. I don't think he's done enough to kind of warrant the kind of reputation. Who else is on that? Don't want Southgate, although Southgate will probably get us winning things, but the football will be absolutely horrendous. In fact, let me ask you that: Would you take Gareth Southgate? Gareth Southgate would be the sort of like the boy next door. Like if you've got a daughter, you know that she's going to be bored out. You know that she's never going to be truly passionately in love with Gareth Southgate, but you also know that he's never going to cheat on her, and she'll have a nice, safe, cushy life, even though she's never really going to be passionately happy. So would you take a Gareth Southgate at Tottenham? It's going to be boring, but he'd probably do okay. He'd generate some victories and get us back up there. Let me know your thoughts on that one, guys. Big up to you, A user. Thank you very much indeed. But yeah, Big Sam's not on the agenda. Ulrika KKK says we are still closer. Big up to you, Ulrika. We are still closer in points to 5th and 17th. Exactly. Yeah, we are. And we are playing well. Results aren't going our way, but they will do. Problem is our toxic fan base. I'm not going to call out the fan base. I'm not that sort of. You'll never hear me saying the fans are the problem ever. I know other people do it all the time. I know it's a common theme to make out that the reason why we're not a brilliant football club is because the fans don't 100% get behind those particular people's motions where they think it's easy just to point towards the problems that will never get solved anyway. See it all the time. Right? The people that want ENIC out, the problem isn't the bigger problem than all of it. It's not ENIC, it's the fans, because the fans don't do exactly what I want them to do with regards, turning up in their thousands. Like, that's going to necessarily make any difference. It doesn't make any difference. But a lot of these people want to point to the problems that will never actually ever get solved, and therefore they will never be proven wrong. Although a lot of them said that Daniel Levy was the problem. Levy's gone. We've got worse. Are they going to ever sit there and say Daniel Levy wasn't the problem after all? No, of course not. Because now they're saying, well, it's actually ENIC. Well, maybe that's true. Maybe it isn't. But if you get a new owner, it doesn't necessarily mean that things turn around. And then what will happen is, after a year of a new owner, if nothing materially changes, and then we say, well, you wanted ENIC out and you wanted Levy out. Both of those things have happened. We've got new owners and nothing's changed. Were you wrong? They'll say, no, they've only had a year. ENIC had 25 years. To which my response would be, one is, well, yeah, and in that time, it's only 6 years ago, Tottenham were finishing second in the league, third in the league twice, getting to Champions League finals, winning Europa League. Like, it wasn't bad for 25 years. It was very, very good for 20 of those years where we got better and better and better. It's only in the last 5 or 6 years since moving to the new stadium that things have gone a bit tits up. But my second part will be, if you think that I'm not going to be able to say that you were wrong wanting ENIC out because I have to wait 25 years before it's fair time to judge. I'm not waiting until I'm 65 years old to tell you you're wrong. So forget it. Forget it. It's not how it works in Butlerville. No chance. Big up to you, Ulrika. Thank you very much. DJ Funk DJ says, we've been unlucky, Chabby, to speak to the leprechaun. Who's the leprechaun? Who's the leprechaun? And is that Xavi Simons or Xavi Hernandez? But we have to talk a little bit about Xavi Simons. He's been wildly disappointing with his passing, his final pass. This is one of the things I wanted to talk about. So I've completely forgotten about it during the analysis of the game. So many times in the last 2 months, 3 months, Tottenham have had really great opportunities, really well carved out, hardly fought, gritty moments. Jed Spence is guilty of this. Xavi Simons is guilty of this. Odegaard's been guilty of this. The midfielders have been guilty of this. Berghvall, Sarr, especially when he was playing at the start of the season and last season. So many times we've fought physically in the duels and we've somehow come away with the ball. And then that player then breaks and runs and makes a move. He's done all of the hard work. And the last piece of this guy is you the last piece of the move is you just lay it off to the guy that's making the bombing run up next to you. And we overhit it, or we underhit it, or we hit it too far, or we don't hit it enough. Like, the amount of unnecessarily sloppy final passes, which like anyone who can kick a football should be able to do, because I'm not talking about threading through balls or whipping balls 25 yards out into the channel. I'm not talking about difficult passes. I'm talking about you've fought for the duel, you've turned and you've broken and you've run, and then you've got players alongside you that are charging up. And all you've got to do is just like lay it off to them. And then we hit it behind them, or we hit it too far in front of them. It must have happened 15 times yesterday. And it happens 15, 20 times in every game. Drives me up the wall. And Xavi Simons, this is a guy that I absolutely was like dead on, so happy that we signed. I don't remember him ever doing these sorts of things consistently when he was playing in Germany or at PSG, Eindhoven. I don't remember any of those things. I saw there was a different version of him. But with me, for me, the sloppiness in the final pass, and it's not just him, so many of them. Jed Spence is guilty of it as well. It's absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. And if you were to fix that, then I think a lot of the problems would be sort of minimized. Big up to you, Marshall. Thanks very much, mate. He says, I'm off, Sean. I'm off. Take care. Big up to you, man. Thanks very much. It's true. The fans are dumb. Sure. I'm sure there are dumb fans out there. Wait, if we get new owners that also don't care, that doesn't mean that ENIC are now good. It just means both are bad. Sure. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. So it's the same thing with like Thomas Frank and Ange Postecoglou, right? People that are saying, you see, Thomas Frank's no better, therefore it wasn't Ange's fault. Well, maybe you just messed up. I'm just saying that if you do get owners in, that look a little bit like the PIF fund at Newcastle United, but Tottenham still don't materially and magically suddenly become a top team, it doesn't mean that. What it will mean is that people will say that if you want the owners out, Scott, different doesn't mean better. Is my point. And I also think that the argument is also fairly logical to suggest that people say we've got 25 years of terrible ownership. Well, it was only 6 years ago that we were on title challenges. The second highest finish that the club has ever made in its history happened only 8 years ago. We got to a Champions League final. We got to Europa League final. We won. We got to 6 finals in cups in that period of time. 7, I think it was. 7 or 8, whatever. Like to sit there and say that the ENIC ownership has been fucking dreadful is a load of bollocks pushed by people that want to push easy answers because they want to be right. And they know that pushing that as the ultimate solution is a solution that in all likelihood won't be found. So then they're never wrong because they're always saying that I'm right because I'm telling you that the biggest problem is our inability to move that 100-ton rock. Okay, you're promising me something that if we could only move that 100-ton rock with our hands, then everything will be great. And I'm right because we can't do it and it won't happen. But I promise you that's right. And people get sucked up into it. Yeah, he's absolutely spot on. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not. It's the same with these things of like when Tottenham win, and then they go, see, the players weren't bad. And when Tottenham lose, you go, see, Thomas Frank's shit. Right? Just hear that dichotomy. If someone wants to be right all the time, they'll say, when we win, say, I told you the players are better than what Thomas Frank is capable of. And the next time we lose, they say, Thomas Frank is shit. That exact same thing could be done by somebody who feels the entire opposite to that person. When we win, see, Thomas Frank's brilliant. When we lose, see, the players are shit. If you want to be right, you can always manipulate the narrative of saying that it was this and not that. And when the opposite happens, saying it was because of this and not them. It's a sneaky little fraudulent kind of like fraudulent slip, you know? But guys, listen, I've got to go. We've got to round off because I'm going over to Football Inc. Stay where you are. In fact, I haven't done the redirect. Hang about. When is it? Where is it? Is it set up for here? Yes, it is. 1 second, guys. Stay where you are. We are about to move over to redirect. Bosh. All right, guys. I want to say massive thank you for joining us today. I love you all. Love everybody. And we are... What's that? Stel has arrived. What's Stel got to do anything? You got a space? Stel, I'm literally about to leave, mate. We're going to Football Inc. right now. You can come on tomorrow if you want, or later on this evening, whatever. Yeah, appreciate you, mate. Happy to have you on, but gotta go. We're literally going over right now to the Football Inc. Guys, stay where you are. The conversation can continue over there. Appreciate you all. Bye.